Let's grow some potatoes. Hi, I'm Cayman Reynolds, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to prep them, cut them, plant them, space them, and tips on how to have the best potatoes you've ever had. One of the things that I love to do with our potatoes, and has been done for generations, is to put some hardwood ash on the cut potatoes to help seal them, and you'll probably give them a little bit of fertilizer. This is my parents' emergency wood stove for their house, and this is just another point, Mom and Dad, of where having me over here working the farm benefits you guys. Look at this. I'm cleaning out the wood stove for you guys. The benefits of me being here can't be overstated. So let's start with the potato themselves. They're a cool season crop, and it is mid-March here in Tennessee, a great time to start planting them. And you want to start about 4 weeks before your last frost date. Some people will say start them as much as 8 weeks beforehand. I personally think that's too much, and some people prefer to do it about 2 weeks beforehand. There's a lot of different information on that. I suggest you read up and decide for yourself what's best for your area. Now, I'm planting Yukon Gold. I like this variety. The flavor is great, and some people will be like, Cayman, you can just buy potatoes for so cheap. Why even bother planting them? And you can buy potatoes for really cheap, but if you've ever grown your own, the flavor, the texture is so much better, and once you try it, you're going to have a blast and you're going to keep doing it. So I have two different forms, if you will, of seedling potatoes here. I have the uncut ones, and then I have the cut version. Let's start with these uncut potatoes, and I want to show you these eyes right here. It's important that each, whether they're cut or they're uncut, they have at least 2 eyes on them. It's really important. And we're shooting for a golf ball size or larger. Over here I have bigger potatoes that I had to cut because they were just massive. And sometimes if you get a huge spud, you can cut them into 3 or even 4 pieces. But again, I'm shooting for at least a golf ball size, and I prefer them to be a little bit bigger. This one is about a golf ball and a half. And again, I'd rather err on the side of more. I want strong and healthy plants. I don't want 400 plants that are really small and weak versus 200-ish plants that are really prime. This is their initial energy. That whole potato right there, and that eye is going to push itself out of the soil, and it's going to need all of that to get a good root system and a good bit of foliage getting started. So this is, again, the Yukon Gold, and there's so many varieties out there. There's Kennebecks that I've grown in the past. I love those. There's also fingerling potatoes and so many others. The world of potatoes varies from purple and blues to reds, whites and yellows and everything in between. Don't limit yourself on just 1 or 2 varieties for your whole life. Maybe have a couple that you prefer, but definitely try some other varieties. The world of potatoes is broad and awesome. So for this bit, I've brought Josh in to help me show you what we do with the cut seed potatoes. When you cut them, you want to give them 48 hours to dry, and then you also need to do something else. Josh, why don't you show them?
Sure. So nothing too specialized here. We're just going to take the raw end of that potato and dip it into some wood ashes so it gets covered just like that.
And you might get a little bit on yourself, but ash is good and good for you.
Yeah, tell that to the people of Pompeii. Sorry, was that too dark?
Well, that was a very dark joke, and I had to take a cut there for laughing. Covering the cut seed potatoes with ashes has been going on for generations, but if you're not going to do that, at least let them sit out for 48 hours or so and create that hard layer. It helps prevent them from rotting in the soil. So it feels a little bit like Ireland right now here in Tennessee because it's drizzling rain. It's been raining a little bit harder than this, and we're still putting potatoes in the ground anyways because it's the time to do it. There's so much work to be done. One thing you may have noticed though, our rows aren't straight, and it's easy to fix that. You can take a couple tobacco sticks, you can take a couple of rebar posts or T-posts or whatever you want to place, and just take a simple string and run it all the way down, and you'll get your rows a lot straighter. What I'm trying to do is plant these every 10 to 12 inches apart. I prefer 12 inches, but I'm just eyeballing it and getting it close. It's really not too big of a deal to me. And then I want to have 2 rows in this 48-inch bed. Once we get a little bit along and the potatoes are up and out of the ground quite a bit and they're starting to produce flowers, then we're going to hill the potatoes, which is really important. And we'll have another video about that one. But right now, let's talk about getting these into the ground. We've talked about the spacing. This is a 48-inch bed. I have 2 rows of potatoes. and I like to plant them 3 inches deep. Now the soil, you can't do a whole lot about the soil that you have. This is fairly rocky. You may have noticed that. I've had some people say our soil is so rocky that you can get 2 inches of rain after tilling and still walk across it with a new pair of sneakers and not get any mud on them. That's not accurate, but there is a lot of rock here. But you can still grow wonderful potatoes even in this soil. So I'm going to take a trowel, or in this case a hoe, and I'm just going to dig about 3 inches deep. Again, we're not measuring that either. We're just getting close and just pushing that right on over. And there you go. You don't really have to firm the soil around potatoes. It'll be just fine. When you're doing the uncut potatoes, there's no reason to plant them any certain way unless you want to take the time to identify where the eyes are of the potato and put those towards the top. That might help a little bit, but especially on the ones that you have cut, we want to have the cut side facing down because obviously there's no eyes of the potato on that side. When it comes to soil, you don't want potatoes in an area that has a lot of standing water, or really any. It'll cause the potatoes to rot, and so we want to have soil that drains really well. There's a lot of different soil types, and some of us have sandy soils, some of us have rocky soils. Clay soils are kind of hard. Potatoes really need to have an area where they can expand, and that's why we hill them, that's why we mulch them. And so there's several different ways to achieve this. You'll see all kinds of videos on how to use buckets to grow potatoes and raised beds for potatoes and raised potatoes in hay patches and just bundles of loose straw and hay and all kinds of stuff. There's several different methods. There's several different ways to mulch, so you can learn a lot about what's best for you in your area. I like the simple approach, and we're going to add some mulch to it, but we got to be careful. Potatoes love cool soil. They're a cool season crop. So if we use a black plastic or something like that where it's going to get really hot in Tennessee and it's fixing to get 80 degrees in just a few days, that black plastic is going to heat the soil up quite warm, and potatoes don't like that. So we're going to hill them up. We're going to add some hardwood mulch or something like straw and make it nice and cool and allow those potatoes plenty of loose soil to expand and be able to produce as many tubers as possible. But hey, there's going to be more videos on our Yukon Gold potatoes in upcoming videos, so stick around and you'll see them there. Thanks for watching this video.